Chapter 13, Micro-Human Interactions. The human host, our learning outcomes are differentiate among the terms colonization, infection, and disease. Enumerate the sites where normal biota is found in humans, and discuss how the Human Microbiome Project has changed our understanding of normal biota. Infection, a condition in which pathogenic microorganisms penetrate host defenses, enter the tissues, and multiply. A pathologic state includes the cumulative effect of infection damage, disruption of tissues and organs, and it results in disease. What is disease? Any deviation from health. Factors that cause disease are infections, diet, genetics, and aging. An infectious disease is one that disrupts the tissues or organs, and it's caused by microbes or their products. A condition in which pathogenic microorganisms penetrate host defenses. That's what infection is. What does pathogenic mean? What is a pathogen? It causes disease. That's the key right there. Resident biota. Normal biota is large and diverse collection of microbes living on and in the body. It's also known as resident or indigenous biota or normal flora. It includes an array of bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and viruses. These organisms have a profound effect on human biology. Here is a picture of relationships among resident, transient, and disease-causing microbes and the human host. We know that resident microbiota lives on our skin, some of it lives inside our bodies. Transient microbes, where do they come from? Do they live there, or are they just there temporarily until we wash them off or until we do something else that makes them no longer there? Would mold be normal biota for our skin? Would some staphylococci be normal for our skin? Diphtheroids. Human surfaces are colonized by trillions of resident microbes. Very occasionally, one of them will cause an infection leading to disease. So on this picture here, we see colonizing microbes, all these little green ones here. Then we have some other microbes that are red that are pictured that cause infection, and infection leads to disease. Many infections are asymptomatic and are then cleared. Asymptomatic means it has no symptoms. There are some microbes that are transient. We wash them off and then they're gone. Microbes that are not colonizers often come in contact with the holobiont. Most of the time, they are transient and end up gone. A small percentage of them can, in fact, infect and cause disease. The Human Microbiome Project. Preliminary results were human cells contain 22,000 protein encoding genes. Microbes that inhabit humans contain 8 million. We have a lot of microbes in places we used to think were sterile. All healthy people harbor potentially dangerous pathogen, but in low numbers. What is the importance of gut biota? The makeup of your intestinal biota can influence many facets of your overall health. Differences in the gut microbiome have preliminarily been associated with differences in the risk for Crohn's disease, obesity, heart disease, asthma, autism, asthma, autism, diabetes, and moods. Did you know that a microbiota could have an effect on your mood? Sites definitively known to harbor normal microbiota: skin and adjacent mucous membranes, upper respiratory tract, gastrointestinal tract, including the mouth, the outer portion of urethra, external genitalia, vagina, external ear canal, external eye, that's the lids and the conjunctiva. Now we have some additional sites that are thought to harbor at least some normal microbiota or their DNA: lungs in the lower respiratory tract, bladder and urine, breast milk, amniotic fluid in fetus. Sites in which DNA from microbiota has been detected include the brain and bloodstream. At one time we thought that there was no microbiota in the brain, but now we know that there is. Some benefits of normal microbiota: influence the development of organs, prevent the overgrowth of harmful microorganisms. Microbial antagonism: the general antagonistic effect good microbes have against intruder microorganisms. Microbes in a steady, established relationship are unlikely to be displaced by incoming microbes. So what will happen when microbes that could be bad for us go into the same areas where our good microbiota is? They have to compete for space, nutrition. So what are some factors that weaken host defenses? Age: the very young and the very old. Genetic defects in immunity and acquired defects in immunity, such as AIDS. Pregnancy, surgery and organ transplants. Underlying disease such as cancer, liver malfunction, diabetes. Chemotherapy and immunosuppressive drugs also weaken host defenses. Physical and mental stress. Is anybody in here under any physical or mental stress? And other infections. Endogenous infections are caused by biota already in the body. They can occur when the normal biota is introduced to a site that was previously sterile. An example is E. coli entering the bladder, resulting in a urinary tract infection. A growing number of doctors and scientists believe that fetuses are seeded with normal microbiota in utero. These microbes are important for healthy full-term pregnancies and healthy newborns. We know exposure occurs during birth when the baby becomes colonized with the mother's vaginal biota. The trip down the birth canal can be not just stressful on the baby, but it can also give him biota that only comes from the birth canal, going through the birth canal. Breast milk contains around 600 species of bacteria and sugars that babies cannot digest. Sugars used by healthy gut bacteria. The breast milk may be necessary for maintaining a healthy gut microbiome in the baby. Sites containing well-established biota and representative examples. Some anatomical sites: the skin. We know that we have some gram-positive bacteria such as Staphylococcus, including Staph aureus, Propionibacterium, Streptococcus, Corynebacterium, Lactobacillus. These are gram-negative bacteria, Bacteroides, Prevotella, and Haemophilus. and fungi such as Candida. What does Candida normally cause? Yeast infection. We talked the other day, I think, about some over-the-counter medications for that. Skin biota varies with body location and with age in different individuals. Different genre predominate. Approximately 4% of the subjects carry Staphylococcus aureus on their skin. When I told you that I had cellulitis caused by Staphylococcus aureus, if Staph aureus is normal to be on your skin, why did I have cellulitis from it? It was on the outside of the skin. And I scratched it. I broke the skin. Anytime you break the skin, so what should you do if you think that you have just come in contact with something that shouldn't be there? If it's itching, you should just scratch it until you break the skin. No. Go and shower. Get it off of you as quick as you can. In the GI tract, in the oral cavity, we have gram-positive bacteria. This common Streptococcus dominates. Actinomyces and Corynebacterium. Gram-negative bacteria we have. And Candida is a fungi. And Entamoeba protozoa. In the intestinal GI tract, we have gram-negative and fewer gram-positives. Fecal biota consists predominantly of anaerobes. Other microbes are aerotolerant or facultative. Facultative meaning existing in a narrow niche or a wide one. What does facultative mean? Okay. E. coli is present in the majority of our subjects, but in relatively low abundance. And we already know that some E. coli in our gut is good for us, isn't it? It can produce vitamin K. E. coli of the strain H70157 will do what? Kill you. We have biota in our nose, the respiratory tract in the nose. We have gram-positive and gram-negative. 30% of subjects carry Staphylococcus aureus in the nose. In the respiratory tract in the throat, we have gram-positive Streptococcus Corynebacterium. We have gram-negative Haemophilus prevotella, Morizella. And this biota is similar to what's in the oral cavity. Respiratory tract lungs, we have gram-negative bacteria. In the vagina, we have gram-positive bacteria, Lactobacillus, Streptococcus. And we have gram-negative bacteria, Prevotella and the fungi Candida. In the urinary tract, gram-positive bacteria, Lactobacillus, dominates. And Prevotella and Gardnerella are gram-negative bacteria in the urinary tract. In females, cultural biota exists only in the first portion of the urethral mucosa. The remainder of the tract is thought to be sterile. In males, the entire reproductive and urinary tract is thought to be sterile except for a short portion of the anterior urethra. Concept check. A condition in which pathogenic microorganisms penetrate host defenses, enter the tissues, and multiply is a what? Tell me, please. I'm listening. Pathogenic, we already said, causes disease. All right? Infection. The Human What Project collects genetic sequences of microbes from many body sites. Human Microbiome Project. The lungs are sterile sites. True or false? False. Your gut biota can determine your mood and mental health. True. List and describe 3 factors that weaken host defenses and increase susceptibility to infection. What are 3 factors? What am I? Oh, well, so what is that? Age. What? Congenital defects. So that goes back to genetics. Immunocompromised. What about the very young? Old and the very young. Babies born by cesarean section are colonized by the same biota as babies born vaginally. True or false? False. They don't have to take that long, hard trip down the birth canal. That's a good thing in some instances. The progress of an infection. Here we're going to look at some of the variables that influence whether a microbe will cause disease in a particular host, differentiate between a microbe's pathogenicity and its virulence, list the steps a microbe has to take to get to the point where it can cause disease, list several portals of entry and exit, define infectious dose, and explain its role in establishing an infection. Describe 3 ways microbes can cause tissue damage. We're going to look at epigenetic change. What is that and how can it influence virulence? Differentiate among the various types of reservoirs, providing examples of each. Reservoir, where do these microbiota come from? Where are they plentiful? 6 different modes of horizontal transmission, providing an infectious disease spread by each. Define healthcare associated infection, listing the most common types. What is a healthcare associated infection you can think of right off the bat? What do you get in the hospital? Staph. What is MRSA? Okay. Methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. We're going to list Koch's postulates and explain alternative methods for identifying an etiologic agent. So a pathogen is a microbe whose relationship with its host is parasitic. It results in infection and disease. If it's pathogenic, it results in infection and disease. True pathogens are capable of causing disease in healthy persons with normal immune systems. Some pathogens are called opportunistic. They cause disease when the host defenses are compromised and when they become established in a part of the body that's not natural to them. Will disease result from an encounter between a human host and a microorganism? Here is a chart that shows the microbe, its virulence, high or low, percentage of optimal infectious dose, and the correct portal of entry, turned on or turned off. Then we have the host, the genetic profile that resists microbe X, previous exposure to that microbe, on or off, general level of health. From some biology class that you've had, what do you know about previous exposure to a microbe? I've had this microbe before. I took my antibiotic for it. It can be dormant, or I'm thinking of immunology here now. Say what you said, Brittany. It could have become resistant. Yes, it could have. But also, think about your B cells and your T cells. Which one remembers what I have been exposed to before? Okay, we have cells that remember. So the next time this same microbe comes up, it's ready to fight it off because it's already developed what? Antibodies? All right. A system of biosafety categories adopted by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, based on the general degree of pathogenicity and the relative danger in handling these pathogens. We have biosafety levels. We know in our lab that we only use microbes that are biosafety level what? 1 and 2. Will we ever use any BSL 3 or 4 in our lab? No. Virulence is simply the degree of pathogenicity. How pathogenic is it? Very pathogenic or just slightly pathogenic? It's indicated by a microbe's ability to establish itself in the host and cause damage. A virulence factor is any characteristic or structure of the microbe that contributes to toxin production or induction of an injurious host response. The infectious dose. How many microbes do you need to have for an infection to proceed? 1 or 2? Or a lot of them? An infectious dose is the minimum number of microbes required for an infection to proceed. It's determined experimentally for many microbes. Microbes with a smaller infectious dose have a greater virulence. So let's just say you only need 2 of these, and can that really be very dangerous to you? Yes, it has a greater virulence. So what are the steps involved when a microbe causes disease in a host? It has to find the portal of entry. First thing. It has to attach firmly. It has to survive the host defenses. That means it has to avoid phagocytosis, avoid death inside the phagocyte, and absence of specific immunity. Then it causes damage, disease. It directs damage via enzymes or toxins, inducing excessive host response, causing epigenetic changes in host chromosome, and then it exits the host. How does it exit the host? The portals of exit are respiratory tract, salivary glands, skin cells, fecal matter, urogenital tract. Oh, it's time, is it? And blood. All right. We'll pick up next time with steps involved when a microbe causes disease in a host. But just for right now, see if you can memorize these 5 steps. Find the portal of entry. Attach firmly. What is it used to? What do microbes use to attach firmly? It was on our quiz or exam. How about Fimbriae? What is Fimbriae? What does Fimbriae do? It attaches capsule, surface protein. And what about if it's a virus instead of a bacteria? It can have it does have viral spikes, right? Whether it is naked virus or whether it's an envelope virus. So these things I want you to tell me on your way out the door. Find the portal of entry, attach firmly, survive the host defenses, cause damage and disease, and exit the host. Let's see now. Where I stopped? Where's the little thing? Right here.